Yes, indeed, man. I mean, had to bring you back, man. This documentary got everybody talking, people going at it. So, it was only right to bring you back and get your point of view, man. But I want to get right into it, man. 50 and Ja, how you feel about both of them going at it? You seen it?
I couldn't do nothing but see it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because 50, tried to smash him with one of the stories that we told on Art of Dialogue before. But what people don't realize is that the story that they put out there is like that. Having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't able to tell that story because they didn't have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigations right, which he also led up to the reason why Wolf ain't here today. You understand? They didn't tell that story. They didn't tell a story about Jessica Rosenbaum, who was at the City College situation. You understand? When it was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I had to bring you back. This documentary got everyone talking, man. A lot of people want to know why you wasn't in it, man.
Well, first and foremost, I thought I was going to be in the documentary at first until I started talking to that director. I think her name is Stapleton. I don't know her name. I don't know, man. Me and 50 talked like 45 minutes. The producers had been calling me and everything. So this one night, 50 called me up and, they got him on the phone. Me and him was just talking. We was talking about old times. Sit down with Black Hands, sit down with, with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I told him that I was going to, have Kirk and Tim. Kirk would be the one who talk about the business part of it. Tim would be the one who talk about the growing up phase with Diddy and everything and over there working in the record industry with him and stuff like that. They was like family. And I was gonna talk about, the street stuff, what was going on with Bad Boy, with the security, with Wolf, with the City College, with, the time that I knew about when I was with him up until about early 2004 or something like that. But basically the streets and then the traveling with him and the atmosphere and everything. And then go back into the Notorious Big stuff with the Tupac and the whole 9 yards, all the stuff that I knew, you know what I'm saying? So we was talking and he sounded like, yo, listen to him. They gonna spare no expense with this whole documentary. So I said, all right, cool. So what I did was I spoke to Tim and I spoke to Kirk Burroughs. And I was like, yo, because I had Tim's number. Tim didn't know how to get into touch with Kirk. Kirk didn't know how to get into touch with Tim. But Kirk was trying to tell me, give him the number with the Tim. I said, nah, I ain't doing that. So I gave one of the producers the number in the whole 9 yards to get in touch with Tim because I want to see him get money because I know Tim got a hell of a story with Puff. So then I talked to Tim and I told him, yo, listen here, man, we should go in as a package deal. All three of us, we could tell a hell of a story about this whole documentary. You know what I'm saying? From front to start. Then whatever stuff that they get and everything like that. So yo, let's go in there and ask them for 50 a piece. You know what I'm saying? So Tim was like with it, yo, Gene, whatever, go ahead like that. Kirk was like, yeah, okay, cool, Gene. It was like a general census that we was gonna do this in a whole package deal. You know what I'm saying? And then I started speaking to the producers and everything like that because 50 had told me himself that they was going to spare no cost in doing this because he wanted to tell the story and he wanted to tell the story like it was supposed to be told and everything like that. I said, yeah, okay. So then the director. I gotta get her name, man, because it don't even sound. I want to put her on blast because she was telling me, you know, she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy, and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got. I was doing footage. I had pictures, all the stuff that I had. You know, you could figure out a way to pay a brother and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received, and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I'm like, yo, who do you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, you know, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff, the first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. If you can make a picture look like $10,000-$15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, you know, one thing led to another, and I was like, yo, all right, well then, you know, F you, you know, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and go out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay, he determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you, because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if I do it. So it went back and forth, you know what I'm saying, for a little bit, and then they had Kirk Burrows giving me calls and everything like that. What are you calling me for?
Wolf had already told, Anthony Wolf Jones had already told them, if you're not taking two tour buses of my niggas from the Valley, that's Co-op City in the Bronx, the Valley in the Bronx, if you're not taking these 2 tour buses of my niggas out there, I'm not going. Had told Puff them, had told Kirk Burrows. You understand? I went down there and Kirk Burrows called me up. He's like, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I say, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I have my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Offord ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all. He ran the daily operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff them and tell Kirksboro them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all. Kirk calls me, I said, yo, Gene, you gonna go? I said, yeah, I'll go, bro. He said, Gene, I said, yo, dog, but we shouldn't be going out there. I tell Kirk the whole, yo, Gene, all y'all gonna be doing is going to the studio and y'all gonna go to Soul Train and go to the studio. Y'all not hanging out, y'all not doing nothing. All me and Puff did when we went there that month was hang out. And I told people all the time, and I said in the documentary before, I thought this kid had a death wish, because all we did was hang out. We never saw Big at not one of the events that me and him went to. The House of Blues, movie theaters, not the California, the Celebrity Club, I guess. Is it Celebrity? No, begins with a C. Never seen him in none of the clubs, none of the places. You understand? Big ain't coming to none of the places. The one time Big went out is when he got. The one club that he went out to is and that's where he got. So Wolf did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his and that with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, Mighty. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't have to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't have to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew, BMF was powerful back then. They had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more. It made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more.
Story.
Yeah, Kirk Burrows, he also said in a documentary that, Diddy, he used big budget to pay for, Big's funeral.
Yeah, when I heard that ain't the first time I heard it though, bro. They said Big had paid for his funeral through his budget. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody would know that, Kirk Burrows would know that. And I heard Wayne Barrows came out and said some, but to refute that. You know what I'm saying? But if Miss Wallace got a check and the check, if she got if they had Biggie's budget and that was taken out, money was taken out that budget for his funeral, he did use it. And if anybody knew that, Kirk Burrows would know that because he was handling the money and the operations at that time. Wayne Barrows was one of the dudes, him and Mark Pitts, that actually was managing Big's affairs. You understand? They was his manager. Big had told me that he was gonna get rid of them because they didn't know what they was doing before he died. I had a conversation with Big. Big said, I'm getting rid of them because they didn't want to F me up because they didn't want to convince him to sell his publishing and his marketing to Puff. They was Puff boys. I guess they met in school or whatever like that. But Big was going to get rid of them. But because he died and his mother didn't know the business, she kept him around for years. If you look at anything that happened with the Notorious Biggs and his camp, you see Wayne Barrows on there as executive producer. And he was just a manager of some of Big affairs. He was executive producers of damn near everything that went on that had to do with. If Miss Wallace was the executive producer, he was the executive producer too. Look at some of the things that was done. And now he's suing, trying to get money from Faith because of, he's saying that she has to pay the Wallace estate And Miss Wallace is dead. Big is dead. If the estate is anything, it's CJ, Tatiana, and Faith. That's the estate. But he's saying there's some other kind of thing that he's suing them for. So Wayne Barrows is the dude that, call it any way you want to, that's been Sherwood Forest, and he got big them in Sherwood Forest. I'm gonna put it that way. He got his estate in Sherwood Forest.
Crazy, man. But yeah, Kirk Burrows, he spoke a lot in this documentary, man. He was letting everything go. He also said that, Diddy, he did take the Rolling Stone cover from Big after Big died.
Bruh, you have to look at his sociopath, his narcissism, and see that it shows you he really didn't care about Big like he did. What Kirk didn't tell the truth about that whole thing is that even when we was in California, Kirk tried to act like that he didn't know that Puff told him that Big wasn't going to London. I know what the question you asked, but I gotta get this out, bro. Is that on Thursday, me and Puff was in a limousine. Kirk Burrows was getting Puff the itinerary of what Big and what's his respect, and told him that we was leaving Saturday, this, that, and the third, the whole 9 yards. On Thursday, Puff told Kirk Burrows, Big ain't going nowhere. He told him that Thursday, Big was not going nowhere. He said, I don't care what you do, you could go do whatever you want to do, but Big ain't going nowhere. Kirk Burrows was telling him how he had set up this whole and how Arista had paid off all this money for Big to be. Puff was adamant that Big wasn't going nowhere. Now, we were shooting the Hypnotized video. Me and Big was in the Winnebago, and Big was telling me his whole life story. What he wanted to do, his plans, all this shit. He even say, yo, Gene, I would take you with me, but you love that nigga too much. Nigga, I don't love nobody like that too much. What's up? He said, yo, what's up with the money? I said, nigga, you broke. You know what I'm saying? You owe Mike Gadget $30,000 for, I'm just going in on Big, and we just talking all kind of smoking Newports.
I want to get right into it, man. 50 and Ja, how you feel about both of them going at it? You seen it?
I couldn't do nothing but see it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because 50, tried to smash him with one of the stories that we told on Art of Dialogue before. But what people don't realize is that the story that they put out there is like that there was no girls in the room. I told the story and I said that there was girls in the room. I just want to get that out there straight before I tell you how it all went about and what really happened. There was Sarah Chapman and her girlfriend. They flew with us from Atlanta. But let me just start the story like this. Check it out. Me and Puff went to this exotic bookstore, brother. You know what I'm saying? This is the first time I ever went to an exotic bookstore, with Puff. I didn't know he even did that. But we was in Atlanta. So when we went to the door, they gave him a brown paper bag. So I guess this is a place that he was used to and people knew him there. So when they gave him a brown paper bag, Puff was just going around the store, just picking items off the shelves and stuff like that, putting them in a brown paper bag. So then, I was behind him and no Diddy, but there was about 3 feet behind him, you know what I'm saying, as he was putting stuff and putting it in his bag and stuff like that. So this one particular place, that he was put up there, he had to reach up kind of high and get it. So he just started pulling things out, and it was he was pulling a lot of them off there. So I was like, so I looked up and the thing said butt plugs. When he walking down the thing, said butt plugs. I said, hey yo, just to mess with him. I said, hey yo, what are you getting these for? And he said, can I do my shopping by myself? I said, yes, you can. And I waited up at the register for him, you know, because they had the big counter up there. So when he came to the counter, I said, yo, I'm finna see what this one this mofo is putting in his bag, because I know he gonna have to take everything and put it on the counter so the dude could count it, right? My man, when he came there, he gave the dude a wad of hundreds like this. You know what I'm saying? He gave him a wad of hundred and just put it up there. The dude ain't even, you know what I'm saying? He ain't even want to know what was in the bag. I was like, yo, wow. So then we was catching a G4 jet. You know, we had to go to the airstrip because we was catching a G4 jet and we was going to North Carolina to do this show. So somehow he had Ja Rule to go with us, you know what I'm saying? And him and Ja was talking. And this whole time him and Ja is talking, he talking about Ja going at Jigga. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. But he was talking about Ja getting at Jay-Z. And he was talking bad and talking crazy about Jay-Z, and how Ja was talking about if it wasn't for him, that Jay wouldn't be the artist he was. He got him started. You know, he wrote certain things and stuff like that to put him out there, because, you know, back in the day, nobody was even effing with Jay like that. So, but Puff was trying to, he was adamant about Ja going at Jay. You understand? So, we get to the hotel, we're in the presidential suite and all this stuff like that. So, Ja and him is, you know, chilling and everything, with Jay eating and everything, shit like that. So then they all went to the room. It was like him, Ja, Sarah, and her girlfriend. They went to the room. I don't know what they were doing in there. I didn't give a f. But Puff told me, Gene, do not let nobody come in this room. Don't let nobody come in this room. So hour or so went by, whatever like that. Time went by. The doorbell rang. And it was this dude at the door saying that he was Ja's cousin. And I was like, he said, I'm here for Ja Rule. I said, who you? He said, I'm his cousin and everything like that. He said, I said, but yo, he busy right now. I'm telling the dude that he's busy. You know, the dude is talking about, yo, but I want to talk to him. I said, yo, bro, they don't want to be bothered. You know, I'm trying to, you know, tell this kid, yo, they don't want to be bothered, bro. You know what I'm saying? He said, yo, that's my cousin. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, listen here, bro. They're in a room. They don't want to be bothered. You know, and you could see that there's only one room going back that way. He talking about he was going through the room. I said, yo, bro, Jesus Christ had to come down here and take the breath out of my body before you go in that room. You understand? Next thing you know, I grabbed him and we started. It wasn't no wrestling thing like that because he couldn't handle it at the time. He could front and tell his friends because he didn't hit me up on Instagram. He could tell his friends all he want to, but that if Puff and Ja tell you the story, that nigga was upside the piano. You understand? So now, Ja and Puff run out. They butt the neck and they was grabbing towels. You understand? They was grabbing towels. And then Puff was like, yo, Gene, what's going on? Ja was like, yo, he said, that's my cousin. I was like, yo, bruh. He tried to get in the room and I wasn't letting him get in the room, bruh. And then Puff looked at Ja like this. You know what that looked like? He said. And then Ja said, you don't want to be up in that room because there was a whole lot of freaking going on. So I started laughing. Dude left. They went back in the room and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So now the story grew as if Ja was in there and him and Diddy was doing, you know, something. And like I said that they were doing something. I don't know what the F they were doing, bruh. The only reason I know was some freaky things going up in there that Ja really didn't even understand because he said, yo, you ain't want to be up in there Cause there's a whole lot of freaky on. So I was like, I wouldn't have known nothing. I wouldn't even care. And I don't care today. But you know how the internet is. They cut and paste what they want to paste, and they put what they want to put to make it seem like I was saying this dude and Puff was in there, alone. And they wasn't. You understand? And that was them. They did their thing, up in there with the honeys in there. I guess. I can only guess. So, listen, bro, I've said this 1,000 times. It was Sarah Chapman and her girlfriend. Now, Sarah Chapman, if people don't know who she is, now she's one of Puff baby mamas. But prior to her being one of Puff baby mama, this is the same girl that was dating Puff best friend, Corey Jacobs, and she was dating Tupac. You understand? So now she, like I told you before, she was the one that Puff betted in the office. He said, yo, I bet you I could get her from Gary Payton. You understand? And I didn't know she dated Gary Payton, but this is what Puff is saying. And it was a $500 bet that he said he'd get it in 2 weeks. We was out in Chicago, me, him, and Sarah. We was at some kind of function that Puff had to do a in-store and a walkthrough. You know what I'm saying? At one of his friends' parties. So, she was out there with her. Next thing you know, he got her like he said he would. You know what I'm saying? That incident with him and Ja, I feel bad, kind of, sort of, really, because everybody's trying to make it seem like, Ja was some kind of weirdo, but it is what it is, bro. I just told you what I seen. Both of them ran out the room butt ass, grabbing towels, you know what I'm saying, with them chicks in there, you know what I'm saying? So whatever they did, that was on them. But that's the kind of games Puff play in order to get people to do what he want them to do. You understand? He got them, he wanted Ja to go at Jay-Z, so he got these chicks to go at Ja. You understand what I'm saying? Whether he did it or fell into it, I don't know. Because I don't know him and Jay-Z beef or why they was beefing in the first place or whatever the situation was. People who are close to either one of them may know more than I do on that. But I knew Puff was working to get Ja to go at Jay, and that was happening.
For a really long time, there have been stories, like rumors you hear about but never really see proof of. These stories swirled around one of the biggest names in music and entertainment ever, Sean Diddy Combs. He built an empire called Bad Boy Records. He's famous, super rich, and seems to have it all. But lately, that shiny picture has started to crack. Like big time. There have been serious lawsuits from people who worked with him, and even a federal police raid on his huge houses. A recent TV documentary tried to piece the rumors together. It felt like everyone was trying to look behind the curtain of Diddy's world. And just when you think you've heard it all, a brand new voice shows up. This voice comes from a guy who was actually there, right in the middle of everything. His name is Gene Deal. He was Diddy's personal bodyguard for years. His job was to protect Diddy and see everything, but never, ever talk about it. Well, now he's talking, and the stories he is telling are crazy. They fill in the scary blanks about what might have really been going on. Someone got clips of Gene Deal telling these wild stories and posted them online. That someone was another huge rapper. 50 Cent and Diddy have had beef, which means they've been dissing each other and fighting for, 20 years. So 50 Cent sharing these clips was a major deal. But then, something weird happened. 50 Cent took the clips down. He deleted them. Why would he do that? What was in those stories that was too much even for him? This isn't just about drama. This is about trying to figure out the truth. So, let's break it all down, step by step. First, you gotta understand who Diddy is to get why this is such a big deal. Sean Diddy Combs isn't just a guy who made a few songs. He's a legend. In the 1990s, he created Bad Boy Records and discovered some of the biggest rappers ever, like the Notorious B.I.G. He threw the most amazing parties, made hit records, and became a billionaire. For decades, he seemed untouchable, living a life of private jets, fancy cars, and total control. But under the surface, problems were bubbling up. Every few years, a bad story would pop up. Like, a long time ago, there was a shooting in a New York club that Diddy was connected to. He was in trouble with the law back then, but got off. Over the years, some people who used to work for him would say things in interviews or in court papers about it being a scary or controlling place to be. Most people didn't pay much attention. Then, in late 2023, the dam broke. A singer named Cassie, who Diddy dated for a very long time and helped make famous, sued him. Her lawsuit was extremely detailed and serious. She said he was physically and emotionally abusive for years, among other terrible things. The lawsuit was settled super fast, the very next day. But it was like a door got kicked open. People thought, whoa, if this is what's coming out, what else is there? The biggest shock came in March 2024. Federal agents from Homeland Security suddenly raided Diddy's gigantic mansions in Los Angeles and Miami. They were looking for evidence connected to a sex trafficking investigation. That's a federal crime, like the kind you see in movies. This wasn't gossip anymore. This was the U.S. government showing up at his door. A documentary came out around the same time called The Life and Death of Diddy. It talked about all the rumors over the years and had some people telling their stories. It showed a pattern of bad behavior, but it still felt like pieces were missing. It was like looking at a puzzle from the outside. What was it really like on the inside, in the inner circle? That's where the bodyguard comes in. Gene Deal worked for Diddy for years as his head of security. His job was to be Diddy's shadow. He went everywhere with him. He saw the parties, the business deals, the good times, and the bad times. Bodyguards are supposed to be silent. They see secrets and they keep them. But Gene Deal started talking on podcasts a few years ago. And when he talks, he doesn't just give hints. He tells very specific stories, with names and places. He describes a world where Diddy was like a king, and everyone around him was afraid to say no. He talks about how young artists and other people were drawn into the glamorous life, the money, the fame, the fancy trips, and then how they could get trapped and controlled. He says he saw women being treated badly. He even talks about old news stories, giving his own insider version. Like, one time Diddy got into a fight with a music executive named Steve Stout and beat him up with a bottle. Gene Deal says that wasn't just a random fight. It was a planned power move to make everyone scared. He also talks about that famous club shooting in 1999, suggesting the real story is different than what was in the news. Basically, Gene Deal's stories connect the dots. He explains how a powerful person could get away with bad things for so long. He says there was a whole system of people, bodyguards, assistants, managers, whose job was to keep things quiet and make problems go away. His stories are the glue that sticks all the other lawsuits and investigations together. Now, enter 50 Cent. His real name is Curtis Jackson. He's a massive rapper, too, famous for songs like In the Club. He's also famous for starting drama and feuds with people online. He loves to troll, which means he loves to make jokes and posts to make other people mad. His biggest and longest feud has been with Diddy. This beef started over 20 years ago. It's complicated, but here's the simple version. Back in the late 90s/early 2000s, there were two huge rap labels, Diddy's Bad Boy Records and a label called Death Row Records. They were rivals. 50 Cent was a new rapper coming up, and he was cool with some people from the other side. Diddy didn't like that. Also, 50 Cent has always made fun of the way Diddy acts, saying he's fake, cares too much about money and looks, and isn't a real street guy like 50 Cent claims to be. Over the years, 50 Cent has taken shots at Diddy every chance he got. He made fun of his fashion, his dance moves, his music, everything. When the lawsuits and raids against Diddy started happening, 50 Cent went into overdrive. He made hundreds of memes and videos mocking Diddy. He'd post a photo of Diddy looking worried with a funny caption. He'd take old music videos and edit them to make Diddy look guilty. He basically became the #1 person on the internet making jokes about Diddy's troubles. A lot of people think 50 Cent does this partly for attention. It gets him lots of clicks and keeps him in the news. But some people also think he genuinely doesn't like Diddy and believes the bad stories about him. So when the clips of Gene Deal, the bodyguard, started to come out, 50 Cent saw his chance. He reposted them to his 40 million followers. It was like throwing gasoline on a fire. The whole internet went nuts. People thought, this is it. An insider is finally telling everything, and 50 Cent is brave enough to share it. But then, the plot twisted. After sharing the clips and getting everyone talking, 50 Cent suddenly deleted them. They were gone from his page. This is the mystery. Why would he do that? Let's think about the possibilities. Reason 1. Lawyers got involved. This is the most boring, but probably the most likely reason. Gene Deal's stories aren't just gossip. He is accusing specific, powerful, and very rich people of doing specific crimes. If even one thing he said can't be proven in court, Diddy or someone else could sue 50 Cent for billions of dollars for spreading lies. Even for a rich guy like 50 Cent, that's a huge risk. His own lawyers probably called him and said, take it down now before we get sued. Reason 2. The clips were too real. Maybe the stuff Gene Deal said in the full, unreleased clips was even worse than we imagined. Maybe it involved details about crimes so serious that 50 Cent got scared to be the one spreading them. Maybe it named other famous people who are still powerful. Even for someone who loves drama, there might be a line you don't cross. Reason 3. A deal or a threat. Some people wonder if someone from Diddy's team contacted 50 Cent directly. Maybe they threatened him with a lawsuit, or maybe they offered him some kind of deal to make him stop. It's possible 50 Cent, who is also a smart businessman, decided the feud wasn't worth losing actual money over. Reason 4. It's all a game. This is a wild theory. Some fans think maybe 50 Cent taking the clips down was part of the plan all along. By posting them and then removing them, he made people even more curious. It's like he was saying, I know a secret, and it's so big I can't even show you. It keeps the story alive and keeps everyone looking at him. So where does this leave us? We have a powerful man, Diddy, under serious federal investigation, an insider, Gene Deal, telling shocking stories that support the investigation, a famous enemy, 50 Cent, who hinted at the stories but then got silent. The missing clips are now this huge mystery. Everyone wants to know what Gene Deal said that was too hot for even 50 Cent to handle. The real truth will probably come from the police and the courts. The federal investigation is still going on. They are collecting evidence, talking to witnesses, and trying to see if the stories from Cassie, from Gene Deal, from others, can be proven with facts. Gene Deal's stories are important because they give us a map. They help us understand the how and the why. They show it wasn't just about one person, but about a whole environment where people could be used and silenced. The 50 Cent part of the story shows that even in the middle of something this serious, there is still posturing, games, and fear. It shows that speaking truth to power is dangerous, even for other powerful people. This whole thing is like a giant, real-life thriller movie. It's about fame, power, secrets, and the fight to reveal the truth. The bodyguard broke the silence. The federal police are knocking, and the world is watching, waiting to see what happens next. The only question is, who else will be brave enough to speak, and what will they say? The more sinister theory. The clips contain something too specific, a detail only the perpetrators or victims would know. Something that could be considered witness intimidation or obstruction of an ongoing federal investigation. Or perhaps they implicated people 50 Cent wasn't willing to implicate, or revealed a truth about the industry, so dark it threatened to collapse bridges 50 himself uses. The most cynical theory. It was all a calculated tease. 50 Cent, the master marketer, dangled the ultimate prize and then snatched it away, ensuring maximum demand. Ensuring all eyes stay on his platform for the next revelation. He controls the narrative by controlling the drip feed. But the result is the same. The most compelling pieces of evidence in the court of public opinion are now missing. We are left with paraphrases, with summaries from those who saw them, with Gene Deal's longer-form interviews, where he may be more circumspect. The sharpest edges have been filed off. What could have been in the doc clips? So, what did those missing clips likely contain? By piecing together Gene Deal's known statements from other interviews and the context of the lawsuits, we can hypothesize. First, specific names of co-conspirators. The lawsuits allege a ring or crew. Gene Deal, from the inside. could have named the other bodyguards, assistants, or executives who allegedly facilitated acts. Not just a person, but this person who now works here. Second, graphic details of specific events. The Cassie lawsuit is graphic in text. Imagine a voice, calm and steady, describing the scenes, the layout of the rooms, the sounds, the protocols afterward, not as legal text, but as a human memory. That visceral reality is what clips could have conveyed. Third, direct allegations of witness intimidation. How were people kept quiet? Were they paid? Threatened? Were their careers sabotaged? An insider detailing the suppression mechanism is a direct challenge to the entire structure of power. Fourth, information on the fates of other figures. Gene Deal has spoken about Kim Porter's death with a tone of deep suspicion, suggesting she knew things that made her dangerous. Clips might have contained more direct statements on this, or on the deaths of other individuals in the orbit, like Biggie. This moves the conversation from abuse to something far more grave. Fifth, the psychological blueprint. How does a man like Combs, according to Deal, think? How does he justify his actions to himself and his inner circle? This is the most terrifying clip of all, not a crime, but the mindset that permits the crimes, the belief of absolute impunity. These aren't just hot gossip clips. They are, potentially, witness statements, and their removal from the largest platform they were on is a stark reminder. There are forces at work that can still silence speech, even today. This isn't just about Diddy, or 50 Cent, or Gene Deal. This is about the ecosystem. The music industry, like many entertainment industries, has long operated on a currency of access and fear. For every star, there's an entourage. For every dream sold, there's a potential nightmare hidden in the fine print. Gene Deal's testimony, even censored, points to a terrifying normalcy of abuse within this particular empire. It suggests that everyone knew. The drivers knew. The pilots knew. The other artists on the label likely sensed it. But the money flowed. The hits kept coming. The parties were legendary. So silence was purchased or enforced. The federal investigation suggests the system may have crossed into explicit criminal enterprise. And when that happens, the enablers, the bodyguards, the assistants, the lawyers who look the other way, face a choice: cooperate or go down with the ship. Gene Deal appears to be choosing to cooperate, in his own way, through the media. 50 Cent censorship, whether for legal, personal, or cynical reasons, is a microcosm of that same ecosystem. It shows the limits of even a powerful critic's willingness to go all the way. There is a line, and when approached, the content disappears. So where does this leave us? We have a mountain of civil allegations. We have an active, sweeping federal investigation. We have a documentary that provides a chorus of victim testimonies. And we have an insider, Gene Deal, who provides the script for how it all might have functioned. But the raw, unedited, most damning clips of that insider's testimony, they are ghosts. They existed. They were seen. They confirmed our darkest suspicions. And then they were vanished, not by the subject of them, but by his most famous critic. That act of censorship is perhaps the most telling part of this entire saga. It proves that the story is alive, dangerous, and legally radioactive. It proves that the full truth is still too potent for any one platform to hold. The missing Diddy doc clips are more than just deleted videos. They are a symbol of the information that is still, even now, too powerful to be publicly consumed. They are the shadow and the shape of the truth. The raids happened. The lawsuits are settled or pending. The witnesses are speaking to federal agents. The documentary is out there. And somewhere on a hard drive or in a cloud account sit the missing clips, the raw, unfiltered voice of a man who saw the monster up close. Until they resurface, or until their contents are validated in a court of law, they will haunt this story. A reminder that we still don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes. We've only just begun to see the outline of its entrance. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single update. Let me know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What shocked you the most? What questions do you still have? And if you believe this story needs to be seen, like this video and share it. Share it with one person. Share it with your friends. The more people who see this, the louder our voices become. We just turned on the light. Let's make sure it stays on.